Welcome, losers.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time since we talked MMA on this channel. I've been busy for the last 2 weeks, but I'm hoping to try and start taking this channel a little more serious. Look, we all got stuff going on. We're all busy, but we've got to make time for the things that we love. And I love the UFC, and I love this card at UFC Vancouver. And I want to talk with you guys just a little bit about it. I am interested in every single matchup aside from the first fight of the main card. So we're going to pass that up. I want to start with MANON FIOROT versus JASMINE JASUDAVICIUS. I know I butchered that last name. I've never been able to pronounce it, but I think that's a good starting point. Look, I like Jasmine. I think that she is a decent fighter in that division, but I just don't see her being able to get it done against Manon. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I think if Manon was able to redo that fight against Valentina, and that's real easy to say, right? Like, oh, if I could just play that team again, we could win. No, seriously, I think there's some things that Manon could have tweaked, and I think very easily we could have been looking at a new champion. I don't think that she was dominated by any sorts of the imagination, but I look at what Manon did to Erin Blanchfield. Like, let's just look at her last few fights together. I want to check that out. So last one, she took a loss decision against Valentina. She beat Erin Blanchfield by decision. She beat Rose Namajunas, and I was really rooting for Rose, and that's kind of when I was put on notice of how good Manon FIOROT really was, because Rose Namajunas is a champion, former champion, once a champion, always a champion, and she is trying to find her way back to that championship belt again. When I saw that fight against Rose, I knew. I mean, it was just like a puzzle piece. Rose could not finish out or figure out. Rose is really, really good at adjusting mid-fight, aside from one. We all know the fight that shall not be named. Guys, I just think that Manon is going to be a little too much here, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if she wins and gets another title shot after this win. I mean, the state of women's MMA right now, it's terrible. And aside from a handful of very special athletes, it's not the greatest in the world. You know what I mean? That's why I like to watch One Championship. A lot of fantastic women's Muay Thai and MMA fighters over there. Moving up the card, this one's interesting. Marlon VERA versus AIEMANN ZAHABI. I was actually doing a podcast or a live a few months back with my guy, What Happened MMA. Go look him up. Great channel. And we were talking about AIEMANN ZAHABI. Like, does this guy have what it takes to be a champion? And at the time, I said no. Who was his last fight against? It was a very close fight. No, Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, yeah. Very close fight. Jose Aldo was still a very good fighter all the way up until his retirement. I mean, my God, we look the fight against Merab, he allowed 0 takedowns. So Jose Aldo, that was a great win for AIEMANN ZAHABI. Marlon VERA is tough. We all know that, especially after the Sean O'Malley fight. I don't like Marlon VERA's lack of head movement. I apologize for looking down. I'm like doing my research and pulling up different points to talk with you guys as we go through this. Let's look at his last few fights. I mean, really, Sean O'Malley was the only person that gave him a lot of trouble. The Davis and Figueiredo fight wasn't great. And then, of course, the loss to Corey Sandhagen. So Chito Vera has lost 3 out of his last 4 fights. So this is a must-win for Chito Vera. I like AIEMANN ZAHABI here, though. He's on a nice win streak. He just beat Jose Aldo. People are finally kind of getting familiar with his game and his name. I like him here in Canada. But moving up to the co-main and main event, the fights that I am most excited for, let's talk about Kevin Holland and the Canadian native Mike MALLOTT. To really get a good understanding of this fight, I want to pull up a video of the press conference to hear what Kevin Holland had to say. We got to see what kind of headspace Kevin Holland is in. Let's pull him to the stage. Let's go.
So co-main event
my
against
circle?
Mike Malott in his country. Just tell me a bit about how this fight came together with you fighting in Canada here.
UFC called, I answered, and I'm here.
Just as simple as that. Yeah. Did you know much about Mike before taking this fight?
No, I mean, not a whole lot.
Do you game plan for your opponents, or is it one of those things you're focusing more on what you're good at type thing?
No, usually when I game plan, I get my ass whooped, so I leave it to the coaches.
And you talked about it before, previously that, Mike maybe hasn't fought some of the guys that you fought. Like, what have you made of Mike's run in the UFC so far?
I mean, he has a good record, so pretty good run, I guess.
And how you liking Vancouver so far? Or has it just been in the hotel?
Mainly been in the hotel. It's a beautiful place, though.
Yeah, that's good. What do you make of the main event with De Ridder and Allen? That's your, obviously your old division. Do you kind of still keep tabs on that? Do you think you might go back up to middleweight, or are you quite content at 170?
He'll do both.
One day at a time, brother. One day at a time.
Yeah, he'll do both. We know that.
Hey, Kevin, right here. This fight coming when it does, are you hoping to get one more in this year because you are known for your activity, of course?
That's the goal, brother.
Jesus.
When
one more
you
after this?
Look at Malott. He had that fight against Magny where there was that kind of come from behind
Buzzer
win
beater.
deal. Do you look at that and read too much into it, or do you go, that was something he's probably corrected by now?
I don't care. I'm here to fight a good fight, brother.
Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me at all. I did hear that Kevin Holland didn't even know who Mike Malott was. He thought that he was someone else. I can't remember who it was that he thought I forget the name, but he thought that he was fighting someone else, guys. And, it's one of those weird things. Like, if Kevin goes out there and has a great performance, everybody's like, oh, yeah, Kevin was dialed in. This is what dialed in Kevin looks like. And if he goes out there and he gets beaten really quick, people are going to be like, see, this is what happens when Kevin Holland doesn't train. This is what happens when Kevin Holland doesn't take his opponent seriously. When in reality, I think Kevin Holland has some of his best performances whenever he has a decent fight camp. Meaning long enough, right? I don't think he needs an entire fight camp, but he has a decent fight camp, and he's going with the game plan of the coaches, and more than anything, he just goes out there and has fun. Now, as far as who I would take in this fight, Mike Malott has fallen short in front of the home crowd in Canada before against Neil Magny. They were just talking about that. Now, he did have an impressive win last time, but it's hard for me to pick against Kevin Holland. Like, let's just be real. His worst performance was against MVP. That's a terrible matchup. But I was at the fight where he fought JDM. Sorry, my cats are going crazy. I was at that fight live. And from my perspective, I thought he had done enough to win. And my God, if Holland wins that fight against JDM, how different is he positioned right now? But that's not what happened. We can play that game of if this happened, if that all day, but it's hard for me to pick against Kevin Holland. He's just really good. He's awesome on the feet. I think he could knock out Mike Malott. I really do. I like Kevin Holland. Moving up to the main event, RDR versus Brendan Allen. I do believe that Brendan Allen took this fight because after that last fight, I didn't think it was super impressive. Let's pull up his fight. So it was Marvin Vettori. He had to get that win. He was on a 2-fight skid. Fluffy Hernandez had beat him. Nasruddin Imavov, in hindsight, both of those guys are absolutely fantastic. I believe one, if not both of them, will be challenging for a title soon. So those aren't bad losses. Marvin Vettori he just didn't look the same in his last fight. But Marvin's had a lot of stuff going on. He's had surgeries, the injuries, all this stuff. And this was in July. So, I think this is an appropriate timeline for him to take another fight. I just think that RDR is going to be a little too much. Brendan Allen, it seems like he gets to the cusp of like being there and potentially challenging for a title, and then he'll take a loss. And I think that is what we're going to see happen here. I like RDR in this fight. Now, if Brendan Allen wins this fight, oh my God, even though he's lost 2 out of his last 3, if he wins this one, guys, I think he takes all of his hype. I think he could get a matchup against Adricus Duplessis and then potentially fight for a title. This is how one fight can literally change everything. And on the opposite side of that coin, if RDR wins this, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him potentially get a title fight or a title eliminator fight for his next one. So it's interesting hearing Kevin Holland say he wants to fight again before the end of the year. Guys, it is October 17th. That's insane. But before it's all said and done, Kevin Holland is going to most likely have the most fights in UFC history. Hopefully he has the most wins as well. Speaking of that, Charles Oliveira just moved into second place behind Jim Miller, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but Charles Oliveira is now way up there, flirting with number 1 on the all-time wins list in the UFC. Guys, we're going to do another video talking about that potential BMF matchup between Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway. Not sure when I am going to do it. Probably sometimes this weekend, we'll see. But guys, let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know what you think about the fights coming up tomorrow down in the comments. I'm very curious to hear your take on it. I will talk to you guys very soon. Peace.